Honestly, I just started doing everything wrong. I posted to social media thinking that leads would just naturally come to me inbound. I started trying to tweak around a website and messing up and spending a bunch of time on that, only to remember that no one cared and there was no one waiting.
Welcome to the Raw and Real podcast. Are you dreaming of changing your life through opening a business, or are you curious what obstacles entrepreneurs had to overcome on their journey? Then you're in the right place. My name is Agnes and I'm your host. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Raw and Real. Today's guest on the show is Lauren Tickner. She runs Impact School, a multi-million-dollar company that helps people launch and scale online businesses. She has a massive following on Instagram and YouTube, and she's quite young, 23 at the moment, so I'm sure we can learn a lot from her. Hey Lauren, it's really great to talk to you today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I think that what you're doing looks cool. So yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. I checked out your Instagram and it all looks super fancy, like really awesome pictures and everything. But I know that you've been also through quite some adversity in your life. So can you tell us a little bit, who is Lauren Tickner and where does your drive come from?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I'm super driven and motivated because there's two things really. And I think the second one only really became apparent to me after building my business. The first was sort of more surface level, right? I worked in a corporate job and I just hated every moment of it. And I just couldn't grasp as to why there were people all around me who were working in these jobs and just staying put just because it was all they knew. It didn't make any sense to me, right? And so as time went on, I just realized, wow, if I stay in this office climbing the corporate ladder here, then what's going to end up happening is I'm just going to become like all these other people who are unhappy, who aren't enjoying what they're doing, and who want a different life. And so ultimately, I then decided to start scaling my own business because I had this passion and this interest. And at the time, it was in fitness. And I had people who I knew I could help, right? And I saw other people out there generating money and building a business and being able to go travel and go to the gym when they wanted and just do simple things like that. And so I thought, well, if they can do it, so can I. And so I kind of went into it very naive. I knew nothing about marketing, anything like that. And I was really, really young at the time. I was 19. And so why am I so driven ultimately? I mean, my brother's disabled. And so I've seen someone who's literally had their freedom taken away from them. And so, you know, if you have two arms, two legs, if you are able to think, if you're able to do, then you have to make the most of that. And it breaks my heart how many people don't make the most of opportunities that they have in life. Just because they forget to take a moment and realize what they have and the abilities that they do have. So yeah, that's my ultimate driving force.
So, I'm wondering also having the knowledge that your brother is also disabled, how does it shape you personally also when you handle adversity in your business and you have a lot of failures and potentially, clients that in the end don't convert?
I mean, firstly, if there's a lead that doesn't convert, that's just part of it, right? I mean, God, we have thousands and thousands and thousands of leads, and they don't all convert. And if they did, then wow, I mean, that would be some type of magic potion there. And so anyone who tells you that they're gonna show you how to convert 100% of leads, like that would just be a ludicrous thought. Like so ludicrous, it's like not even thinkable. But anyway, so dealing with adversity, I mean, I feel like the way that I am able to get through that. So, for example, we just had all of our websites hacked, all of our funnels, like our 100+ podcast episodes got deleted by an ex-employee. And in the past, that would have really, you know, stressed me out to beyond belief. I was stressed for 10 minutes. And then while being stressed, I was also dealing with it. And so I think when you're stressed, you're coming at things from a very reactive state. Whereas when you're the CEO of a company or just not even just a CEO, like when you are in a high level exec position or a leadership position, you can't be coming at things from a place of being reactionary, because ultimately what then ends up happening is you make split moment decisions that cause you to do the wrong thing. And so I think it's always knowing what your North Star is, but then realizing, like the North Star is the North Star, and you never get there. You know what I mean? It always changes. But having that always in mind allows you to stop being so reactionary. So when adversity comes up, when bad things happen, it's like, okay, let's short term solve this, quick fix, like a band-aid on a war wound, like temporarily, if you need to. Ideally not, but if you need to, like, let's go do that. And then ultimately realizing, like, okay, remembering what is my North Star, and always going towards that. I think that's the most important thing there, and that hasn't come about through my brother. That hasn't come about through anything else. That's come about through experience. And I think that's one of the things that you can only get through experience, through mentors who have actually been through those things, who can guide you in the right direction, because you shouldn't lose everything in order to have these lessons, right? I want to take lessons from people who have been there and done it as much as I possibly can. And that's very important to me.
And, like you mentioned before, that you started out as a content creator in the fitness industry without having any background knowledge. So how did you really manage to get your breakthrough and, become successful online and generate money?
Wow, I mean, failing, failing, like just making every mistake you could possibly imagine. Um, I just, as I mentioned, like I went into it very naive, and I just saw these people who were like YouTubers doing online coaching. And I was and I still am, I'm a massive nerd, right? And so if I have an interest, I will learn as much about it as possible, even if it's something that is like very, very random. And so at the time, it was this innate curiosity, and curiosity is like just something, I've always been very curious ever since I was like literally born. My parents always tell me, but I was really interested in fitness. And so I study was while I was working in asset management, I had a standing desk, and everyone had standing desks. They go up and down, up and down. And everyone else always sat down after like the first 20 minutes at work because they got lazy. And I stayed standing, and no one could see my screen, right? And so I would just be researching fitness, training, and nutrition all day long. It's so funny. And so I learned so much, and I saw these other people, and I knew I had more knowledge than them. So I was like, well, if they can do it, so can I. And so I just honestly, I just started like doing everything wrong. I posted to social media thinking that leads would just naturally come to me inbound. I started trying to tweak around a website and like messing up and spending a bunch of time on that, only to remember that no one cared and there was no one waiting just for my website to launch. Oh wow, Lauren, you have a new website. Who the hell cares? Like I was literally I had barely any followers at that time. And so I think by some pot luck, I saw some post about posting into Facebook groups way back then. And so I ended up making a post in some group about tracking macros. And I ended up getting like 2 or 3 clients, but I charged them a really, really low price. And then I remember thinking, okay, I want to work with people for like a long period of time. And so I ended up doing, I think it was like either a 6 or an 8-month package, and selling it for like a high ticket price. And then sort of after doing that, that's when I understood like high ticket and all that type of stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, it's so long ago now. And I was also very young that it's so hard to remember. But yeah, I mean, it's just a case of taking messy action and realizing that messy action is better than nothing. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do anything because you're thinking about it, then you're not going to move forward at all. Whereas even if you move forward but actually move backwards, then you learn something which in the long term is going to move you further forward than if you took no action at all, right? So yeah, that's sort of like my perspective on it.
For sure. So, you mentioned before the lead generation that you were just posting, and then you thought that, leads would just naturally come your way. So I know that nowadays you talk a lot about LinkedIn. So what is the best way, in your opinion, to get potential leads on LinkedIn, for example, for starting out coaches?
So for people who are starting out, the best way to get new leads isn't brand marketing. Okay, so brand marketing is building a website, building a logo, posting content, right? Content marketing. That's really a branding game. It's important. It is very important to have credibility. But a big mistake that a lot of people make is they try and get visibility, right? AKA generating leads before they have nailed down their credibility and their authority. And so if you're trying to start generating leads um, before you are seen as a respectable authority figure in your space, then you're not going to get anywhere. So it's important to a degree to have your expert and credibility and authority positioning, but get that to a small degree. You don't need a website for that. You just need some video posts on Instagram or LinkedIn that show that you're credible and that you know what you're talking about, where your potential clients can get a quick win. To have that. And then from there, it's a case of outbound marketing. Okay. So directly increasing your demand through outbound marketing rather than relying on inbound. So what do I mean by outbound? Messaging people. Some people do cold calling, some people do cold email. I personally believe that outbound messaging is the best, but only when you follow it, but only when you couple that with permission-based relationship marketing. Okay. So permission-based relationship marketing is a terminology that we've come up with here at Impact School, which is essentially a form of outbound marketing whereby you're only reaching out to people whose permission you have to reach out to them, and you're only doing it in a way whereby you build up the relationship with them. Okay, because a lot of people, what they do is they'll send them a message saying, hey, nice page, I saw that you're looking to try and lose 10 pounds, just so that you know I can help you. Or, hey, by the way, I saw your post about trying to get more clients, just wanted to let you know that I can help you get more coaching clients in 2020. Like that doesn't work. That's spammy, that's salesy. Whereas when you use permission-based relationship marketing in a really strategic way, then what ends up happening is you build a relationship with someone, right? And so it becomes like a natural conversation. You're not following a script. Yeah, for sure, follow a specific method, but don't follow a script, because it just doesn't look good and it doesn't feel good. And so then from there, it just makes things much, much easier. So reaching out to people, set yourself a goal of the number of people you're going to reach out to per day. Then once they're in the DMs, have a nice conversation with them, following a specific method that, feels good for your potential clients, and then get them on a sales call, and then enroll them on the phone, take the payment on the phone. If anyone wants sort of like to know the payment processes that we use, just send me a DM on Instagram and I can send that over, because we have a good relationship with all these companies now, so that our clients are supposed to be the only ones that get the good price, but I could give that to anyone who messages coming from this podcast. So yeah, just let me know.
So what is a good message in your opinion to reach out to people? And can you maybe
compliment and a question? Yeah.
a compliment and a question?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's say, because you mentioned relationship-based marketing, right? So what are, in your opinion, the people that you should reach out first?
So it really depends upon what your offer is.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it totally depends on what your offer is, right? So, like, if your offer is you're a dating coach for men, then you need it. I mean, this is where the business owner needs to know who their ideal client is, right?
Yeah.
So, for me, for example, for us, we just go for low hanging fruit. So we go for people that are obviously coaches. We reach out to people who are more likely going to be a higher ticket lead, because we have a couple of different options depending on where people are at. And then we'll reach out to them, we'll like watch their story or something. And then because I'm verified on Instagram, then we get a lot more people replying to us who are also like higher level. So we would say something like, if we're just watching their story and let's just say it's of their dog, hey, really cute dog, what's his name? Doesn't
Okay.
matter. It doesn't matter. It's like I'm not doing anything that everyone else is doing, right? Because when everyone zigs, you got to zag. And that's how I think we've been able to grow so quickly, and why our clients are able to get such fast results, because we do things differently that makes it, it's just authentic. You know what I mean? It's something that you'd say to someone if you saw them on the street.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So how do you go from, hey, you have a really cute dog to, potentially talking about your services and what it is you can do for them?
You'd say like, oh wow, by the way, just checked out your page and your content's really, really cool. How long you been a coach?
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
then, I mean, it's so much to get into now. Like, I wouldn't have time to go through it all. But yeah, like it's a case of just building like a normal conversation. We call it the money making messaging method at Impact School. So we give our clients like a specific conversation structure to follow.
Hmm.
But it's not a script because a script is super duper salesy. Um, but yeah, so then it's just a case of like following that, getting them to basically reveal to themselves why they need your help. So it's not spammy, it's not salesy, and that's why we love it because coaches hate sales typically. And so that's why it needs to be really authentic because coaches are heart centered and they care about getting their clients results, right? And so that's why it's so important that this is just, yeah, super authentic, super organic. And then we also have some consultants as well and agency owners who we coach and consult. And obviously they go at it from the too salesy standpoint. So it's like a perfect balance in between the two.
Awesome. So let's say you would start a new online business at the moment. How would you approach it? What do you think is really most important to become successful?
If I was starting from scratch right now, I would pick one outcome that I know for sure that I can take people to. From there, I would pick one group of people to take to that outcome. Then I would set a goal for myself to reach out to 50 new people per day via Instagram. And I would make sure that before I do that, my profile is optimized. I have good content just so that people know that I have credibility and authority. And then I would work with a group of 5 to 10 people to take them through my impact offer. So my basically my A to B program. And then I would give them that before I give them a reduced rate before I start charging full price. And I would enroll them on the phone. I would get them started in like 3 weeks from now. So I had enough time to get those 5 to 10 people in. And then, yeah, every single week I would work with them and gather feedback from them, implement that feedback to improve my program. And then from there, I would start scaling with organic marketing and building teams around all of that. And I would hire people much, much more quickly.
Okay. Do you still have a last key takeaway, a personal insight that helped you grow that you would still like to share?
Yeah, just start building your team. Build your team way sooner rather than later and hire good people. It's not worth it to hire crappy people because they're just going to cost you money in the long term. So yeah, bring good people on board and you'll just see yourself grow so much faster.
And how can people get in touch with you?
So send me a message on either Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, whatever's best for you. It's just Lauren Tickner. So that is LaurenTickner. Let me know that you've come from this podcast because then I will have an understanding of sort of what you've heard so far. And yeah, I mean, I look forward to having a chat with anyone from your audience.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for all of these great tips today. And for everyone who's watching or listening, we would love you to take your favorite takeaway and comment it below the video. So see you next week.